Hey everyone. I don't normally make videos this late at night. I'm pretty tired. It's like almost 10 o'clock. So, um, I won't take forever here. At least I hope I don't take forever. But I really just want to talk about a topic that I don't normally talk too much about. Not only just on here, but, in life in general and, on my social media platforms and anywhere else, and that is depression, anxiety, and hopelessness, and how it kind of correlates with everything that's just going on here in the United States, and kind of just life in the United States, and kind of like the social scene as well in the United States. It's a very not really, I wouldn't say touchy topic. It's more of a difficult topic to really kind of just brush over. I kind of, in the past several years, tried not to really get too much into discussing it. It's kind of something that was a big part of my past, especially between the ages of like 12 and like 24. It's been years now, but it's definitely something that I think I should kind of bring up again and kind of talk about. Personally, me, in the past several years, I've been definitely busy. I've been kind of staying up on top of learning. I've been staying up on top of work. I've been staying up on top of, just kind of managing life here, and, just getting by, kind of working towards goals that I set. I think that's extremely important to any individual, no matter who you are, to set a goal and to work towards it, and no matter what your situation is, because excuse me, we're humans. We live, we're born, we live, we die, right? And if you don't have something in life that you have to work towards, you essentially are just living to live, if that makes sense to you. You always have to have a goal, whether or not it's something as small as, next week I'm going to go to the local city and go to a farmer's market. I don't know. Something as simple as that, or something like I'm going to go to graduate school, or I'm going to, fight until I land the job that I want. So, whether it's a small goal or a big goal, we have to have goals in life that kind of give us structure and give us hope. Now, so many Americans nowadays are anxious, they're depressed, they feel hopeless, whether that's, because of economic issues, not only in broader society and in their life, whether they have issues with their family, or maybe they have lost a loved one, or, maybe that, they're burdened by debt, or they're burdened by a problem at home, whether you're young and you're burdened with a sibling problem, a parent problem, or you have a spouse that, maybe giving you problems, or a child that's giving you problems, or you're stressed about school, you're stressed about work, or you're stressed about your health. Many different levels of issues, and really what I want to talk about here is there's not too much more about myself, but just about, again, American society, broader society, and how we're all experiencing these issues of depression and anxiety and hopelessness, and how, it's continuing to compound, and how it's continuing to get worse, as a whole. So, where I fit into this personally, definitely, I would say in the past, extremely tired, but let me keep going. I feel like this is important. We really, something that I feel like I should talk about and other people should talk about. So let's get this going. What I really want to discuss on, personally, is that, I've shared many of the same struggles as everyday Americans, whether I'm worried about my health because I take medications. Not something that I'm going to come on here and just talk about every single issue that I have, but, again, broad category, yes, I worry about my health. I worry about my family and their struggles. I worry about my own financial situation, the bills, finding the career that I actually want, and not just working a job or jobs and kind of to get by. Of course, I run a business, but I went to college. I go to college to find a job that I would want, that I would actually want to spend my life doing, that I can feel like that I'm making a great contribution to society, to my life, to other people. And with the economy and how things are going nowadays with the corporate climate, it's very difficult to kind of find that job. So of course, I struggle about all of these things, and I've always dealt with severe depression and anxiety, whether that's genetic or whether that's environmental factors or just factors that go on in my life. These have always affected me long term, and they've been affecting me for the past 18 years, for as far as back as I can remember, since I was in 7th grade. And of course, today's modern life has made things more and more difficult. I would say even more so than when I was in middle school, starting to experience that shift, whether it was coming from just that basic anxiety and depression of having to deal with like social groups and friends and whatnot, and now kind of experiencing life as a 30-year-old. And I think that's it's definitely it's not more or less. I mean, some people may say, okay, you're in your 30-year-old now, it's like a well, I wouldn't say quarter life. I mean, nobody really, on average, most people don't live to 120, but, it's not a midlife crisis for sure. But, from like 25 to 30, it's kind of like a quarter life crisis. I mean, not even anyone lives really to 100, but you get what I'm saying. You kind of go through this crisis when you're between the ages, I would say like 25 and 35, where it's like you're kind of having to figure out your life, and I'm like stuck in the middle of it now. And of course, bringing all of these other things on top of it, again, outside factors, many of them we can't control. I know there's many of you out there, whether you see this video or not, that are experiencing similar issues. Again, issues from the economy, whether, again, personal problems, family problems, so many different problems. We all go through it every single day. And this is becoming a big trend here in America. It's especially as I always I learned to speak Spanish many years ago, and I've used it just as much as English. So sometimes it's very difficult, especialmente. Excuse me. Sometimes the Portuguese comes out as well, though that's not different topic. So when we really look into it, again, there's so many problems, and many people in Gen Z are experiencing these problems. As far as the statistics go, I believe around 2/3 of all people in Gen Z are experiencing some type of mental health issue. I'm not sure of the statistics on people who are medicated or seeking treatment. That's a different topic for a different time. But more people that are under the age of 30 are suffering from mental health crises more so than ever. And of course, it definitely correlates. Of course, it's other things as well. I mean, there's many things like the environment and the foods and the chemicals that we eat. And there's many different things that can contribute to genetic mental health problems. But again, the pressure of modern society to get a job, go to college, make a lot of money, be the best person out of your social group. All of these pressures being, overloaded and pushed onto people. And in an age where, money is more important than ever, social status is more important than ever, we're more connected than ever. Social media is put more pressures on children and teenagers and young adults than ever before. So we're all kind of in each other's face, and the United States is really like the poster boy for this crisis. And the United States is different in many ways, in many respects, than other countries. There are many countries, especially in Latin America and Asia, where people still prioritize that social need. So it's still going to a restaurant or going to a club or a bar or whatever and getting social interactions in person rather than on social media. But here in the United States, social media is up here and other social interactions are down here in ways in meeting friends and interacting socially. So that has put a huge burden on young people and has caused an enormous rise, in my opinion at least, in the mental health issues, especially the anxiety that we see here today in the United States, and the depression. And the hopelessness just comes primarily from the economic situation and the fact that you have many young people, whether they're graduates of college or not, that are entering the workforce, whether they're coming out of college or out of high school. They don't see any prospects for a great future. They spend half their income monthly on rent. More so when you really put all the bills together, and it is really becoming a stressful conundrum for many young Americans. And you really can't blame people when it comes down to this. And they're I mean, you can see the stress sometimes. And when you look at me, I mean, sometimes I have bags under my eyes. I have worry lines. I'm 30 years old. I try to take care of myself the best I can, but I guess I'm lucky to be in my 30s and not be like too crazy and stressed out and my hair is falling out. I mean, at least I have hair, I guess you could say, because today's world is like crazy. Like the amount of stress that we're put under, it's unlike anything. And when I interact with my business, and because I work in home improvement, when I interact in my business, I meet a lot of people that, whether they're homeowners, whether they're rental owners, and they own multiple properties. Many of these people are set. Some of them own multiple homes. I mean, they're in their late 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're good. Like these people are, of course they have worries. Everybody has worries. We all have anxieties. We all have things that make us depressed. We all have things that make us scared. But these guys are financially, and these men and women are financially set. I mean, these people, they own, most of them, not all of them, so let me not just kind of stereotype everybody. There's a lot of elderly people that are struggling, but a lot of the people that I encounter, especially in my area, because I live in Fairfield County, one of the richest counties in the entire nation, these people are set. They own homes. They could say right now, okay, I don't have anything in my bank account, but I own a $800,000 home. Let me just sell the home. And there we go. Okay, of course, maybe they're not going to sell it for $800,000, but they could sell it for $700,000, $600,000, whatever. They could say, screw it. I'm gonna move to Bali tomorrow. I have $600,000. Doesn't affect them. Many of these people that are older have benefited from what worked in the past for the country, but for young generations, people under the age of 35, so late millennials, Gen Z, and the upcoming generations, we're kind of like just screwed, and we are dealing with a situation here in this country that we have never dealt with in the entire nation's history, and the mental health crisis and just complete uncertainty. Of course, after the Great Depression, there was a lot of uncertainty there, so I'm not going to downplay that. But in terms of mental health, we are facing a crisis unlike anything we've ever seen. And when you really put drug addiction, in the mix, and when you really put the amount of poverty that is increasing, whether it's childhood poverty or just anxieties about politics in this country, because that's a big issue itself. And of course, mass shootings, which are, there's no other country like America when it comes to mass shootings. So we'll put that plainly. But, it definitely makes a lot of children, all the way, and parents as well, all the way from, the youngest of ages, all the way up into college. I mean, it doesn't matter whether this is a preschool or it's a college. Everyone has their worries about this, and this is a new trend. New meaning last 25, 30 years. And it's continuing to get worse. And it's getting, the mass shootings are not just an American phenomenon. So let's not just kind of, think that is. Of course, they happen all over. But America is really where the base of many of them happen. And it is getting worse. And, in the past, it was, okay, this was called, mass shootings were really stereotyped, or shall I say just called, school shootings, but now they become the grocery store, the movie theater, the park. I mean, they have become everything. I mean, everywhere we look, and there is so many illegal guns, well, legal and illegal guns, in the hands of the most vile and deranged people in society. And there's really nothing that can be done about this. All the work that law enforcement may do to get guns off the streets, or to remove guns from people that are just not in the right psychological state, it just doesn't work, because there's just, I mean, it's a big country, 350 million people. I mean, it's impossible to really, get through everybody and remove the guns from the people that should not have them. So, it's very difficult. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist here. I'm not saying that we're like completely done as a country. There are still hope. We've got through tough times as a country in the past. I'm sure we can get through tough times in the future. But this is the first time, of course. Like I said, I'm not going to try to get political here, but given the fact that we do have mass differences within this country, and the political landscape here is so divided. This is a time where we haven't really seen such division in a very long time. And of course, the last time we saw such intense political division, we came to the Civil War. So, I know this is, this is a lot. And of course, when you put politics, the economy, friend groups and social groups, health, families, work, all of this, and then you just push it on to a young person, it's just crazy. And then just compound, putting social media in the mix, it just makes things worse. Suicides and social pressures for teenagers, it's just terrible. It's a terrible situation that many young Americans are facing. And I don't, again, in the near term and the medium term, I don't see it getting any better. Long term, 10, 20, 30 years, there's some hope. I'm not going to say there isn't, but with increased automation, AI, technology, I just see social media becoming more of a phenomenon, and kind of isolating more and more people. And with marriage rates declining in the United States, more and more people being older and single, birth rates declining, I see at least connectivity rates with people, whether that's kind of dating and marrying, I see that declining. A lot of people, especially a lot of people that I've grown up with, people that I know, they have less and less friends today than people like my parents or my grandparents and their friends and their friends and their relatives had in the past. So when you really go back to the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, again, people had to connect in person, on a one-to-one level, but it's not that way anymore. Everything is digital. It's on our phones, and completely different world today. And it's contributing to why we see so much anxiety and depression. And the way our system is set up here in this country, where it's like we make it so difficult for people to get help. If you want medication, you have to have insurance. I mean, if you want to see a psychiatrist, which they just push you pills, right? So you have, for example, maybe you have student loan debt, you can't find a job, you lost your grandmother or your mother, whatever the case is. You have all these problems that are making you depressed, right? This is a scenario. You go to a psychiatrist, they push some pills at you, happy pills. So you need to have a copay if you have private insurance, and then if you're lucky, I guess if you have state, I mean, you can be lucky and not lucky, because if you have state insurance and you're a teen or whatever, okay, or if you're on your parents' insurance, okay. But if you're an adult, you're likely not going to be making much money, which is probably going to contribute to your depression if you have state insurance, Medicaid. So if not, let's just say, whatever, you're going to the doctor, psychiatrist, you get your medication, they push you happy pills, some of them care, some don't, they're pushing you a pill. I've met a lot who care, and I've met a lot who don't, in my experience. Then you get referred to, you go to a therapist. Your therapist, they sit there, they time you get half hour, whatever. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. You talk your problems out. You can never really tell them your true problems, because God forbid somebody says, I felt suicidal yesterday or not. It'll instantly have you committed, whether or not they call the authorities, or they call a hospital, or they, whatever the case is, they'll have you committed, so you can't even really express yourself. They'll lock you up and throw you in a hospital room, and nobody will care about you. No one is going to be told that you're there if you're not a minor. You'll be locked in institution. The institutions in our area here in Connecticut are absolutely terrible. They are the most foul and disturbing places that you can imagine. And how does the system help? And again, if you are mentally say if you have schizophrenia, for example, and you're out in the streets, you encounter law enforcement, they'll rough you up, throw you in a jail cell, push charges on you, put you in front of a judge, hold you on bail, when you really should be locked. If it really is that severe, of course, you probably should be institutionalized in a hospital, but to throw them in jail, this is just how our system works. Our system is broken, it's failing, and the solution is not to push more pills, and it's not to give a timed session that requires a copay at a therapist. That is not how to address our problems. That is complete failure. It's an utter failure of our system. But this is how our society here in this country has crafted and created a solution to what they think will help people that are suffering from these issues. It is disturbing, to say the least, but this is what they have created, and this is what kind of is the norm, and what will continue to be the norm going forward. It's been this way since, for the past, again, I've been seeing doctors, therapists for 18 years. It's been this way for 18 years. It was even worse before that, and it isn't getting much better. So, again, hate to be a pessimist, but it's the truth. It's best everyone knows the truth. And I kind of summarized a little bit about my experiences, why people are kind of depressed here, and I wish I could go on all night. There's so many other topics to talk about, and if anyone has any questions about mental health or anything I'm not, and of course, if anyone is experiencing it, definitely do not listen to me and say, where I say, the institutions just in my area are bad, or me telling you the truth. Of course, if you really have an issue, you should seek help. So don't let this, the truth kind of discourage you, because you always should seek help if you need it. But I will leave y'all with that for tonight. Just kind of wanted to brush over that, the mental health situation, and why Americans are kind of so anxious, helpless, and depressed. Again, any questions, always feel free to comment or ask. And until next time, I hope y'all do good, have a great night, and take care.